It's Tuesday, December 24th, 2024. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. I want to thank everybody for the prayers, the thoughts, the incredible letters, the Christmas cards, the support, everything. I want to thank everybody for that. And as I start the video today, I just want to share a story. Just basically, I've said this many, many times. As I was out running errands today, I drove by Eisenhower Hospital. And it is the busiest place in the desert. And I want to remind every one of you how blessed you really are to be able to, watch this show on your, $1,000 phone, your multi-$1,000 computer, your $1,000 television. You're blessed to be alive today. Now, some of us, we have some aches and pains. Maybe our eyes aren't as good as they once were. Maybe we have a little less energy that we once did. Let me tell you something. Those people in the hospital today that I drove by at Eisenhower, they would trade with you in a heartbeat. They would give you everything they had to be in your shoes today. And I drive by that hospital daily, and it always reminds me of just how blessed I am to just be alive today, being able to just go out and walk and talk, make these shows, talk with all of you on a daily basis. We take a lot for granted. And this Christmas, I was just thinking about that. We take so much for granted that we can sit down with friends and family, we can have a meal. Some of you may be getting very nice Christmas presents, but most of all, you're sitting down, having a meal, spending it with friends, family. And if you're not, at least you're alive today, at least you're functioning, at least you're healthy. Those people in the hospital would give everything they had to just be in your shoes today, just to have health, to be able to not be in that hospital bed, but to be out and about today, doing whatever you're doing. So you are extremely blessed. It doesn't matter what your zip code is, where you live, you're sleeping in a garage, you're driving a 30-year-old car. It doesn't matter. You're alive, you're walking, you're talking, you're functioning. You are so blessed. So I wanted to remind everybody, don't take it for granted. There's a lot of people out there not doing so well. And as I was out today, I saw a lot of homeless people too. A lot of homeless people pushing carts today. Nobody cares about them. Nobody cares. If you have family and friends that care about you, you're extremely blessed. I want to shift gears here now, get into some of these articles I was reading this morning. Rand Paul, Festivus report shows Fed spent millions of dollars torturing cats. $10,851,000. $10,851,000. This is where our tax dollars went. And what they did, and I won't go into all the detail, but they were making incisions, exposing spinal cords, and then hooking those spinal cords up to electrodes and shocking some of these animals up to 10 minutes. This is absolutely sickening that we are doing these type of procedures to innocent animals. Some people don't like cats. That's fine. But to do this to any animal, whether you like it or not, is absolutely disgusting. And what's even just as disgusting, if not more, is they're taking our tax dollars and using it to torture animals. Absolutely disgusting. I think anybody with a soul would not support anything like this. This kind of stuff right here is such a waste. And just spiritually, so evil. I do not even know how this country even allows things like this to take place. Let me know your thoughts on this. But again, it's just unbelievable, the waste of money and the evil that is taking place. Rand Paul's annual Festivus list highlights over $1 trillion in government waste. This on the Hedge. So the insanity of waste continues. And just a few highlights in the article here on the Hedge. $3 million for girl-centered climate action in Brazil. $20 million for a new Sesame Street show. $365,000 for a circus in city parks. $720,000 for conservation of ducks in Mexico. This is what we are spending our hard-earned tax dollars on. So while there's a lot of people struggling this Christmas, trying to put food on the table, trying to buy some Christmas gifts for their kids, think about where your money's going. It's going to garbage like this. It's going to torturing animals. It's going to Sesame Street shows, climate action in Brazil. It's unbelievable, the waste that is going on. And of course, we have our good people in North Carolina who are literally living in tents right now, freezing. Many really struggling to survive at this point. And here we are just completely wasting so much money when we could be helping so many people in this country. It's sickening. Right, Bart, meet some of the violent killers for whom our president commuted death sentences. Commuting death sentences of 37 of the government's 40 death row inmates, giving them life sentences instead. These are violent killers, ladies and gentlemen. I was reading some of their crimes. I'm not going to repeat them on this show, but these are very violent people who committed atrocities, heinous crimes, and they're not going to get justice. And my heart goes out to the families whose loved ones were brutally tortured and lost their lives to these people. The victims' families are not going to get justice. What about the victims' families? This is just, why would anybody not prosecute these people to the fullest? Why are they letting them off the hook and allowing them just a full life sentence? Which again, guess who's going to pay for these people to live? Some of these people are going to live 40, 50 years. It's a lot of money. A lot of money to keep these people incarcerated. A lot of money. And they shouldn't even be walking on the face of this earth now for what they did. The crimes are too brutal to even talk about. Unbelievable what some of these people did to just everyday innocent people, and their families are suffering every day, never going to forget what happened. And they will be haunted by this every day. USDA announces recall on more than 10,000 pounds of pork product across 4 states. So here we go again. More problems in the food industry. I highly recommend, as we are heading into 2025, that maybe you bulk up on some more food storage, emergency food, canned food. Be putting it away because we have no idea what's coming in 2025. We've seen how many chickens and turkeys had to be put down this year. The egg crisis now with Costco, and it seems every week there's another recall with a vegetable or pork or meat or whatever it might be. There's always a recall, and we saw so many of our food processing plants close down this year too, that we don't know if there's something bigger around the corner. So make sure that you have minimal 3 to 6 months of food. I think you should have at least a year, but do the best that you can and have as much food put away as possible, and water. We all need to be working on this, and we'll talk more about that in the following weeks. But also, one thing I want to bring up here too is about a week ago, I was at the grocery store, and we were doing some shopping, and I was going to buy some bacon. The bacon was nearly 3 weeks from its sell date. So it should have been sold 3 weeks prior. So it was literally 3 weeks over the sell date. So it should have never been on the shelves. And I've noticed, looking more at dates, that a lot of the food on the shelves is old, and it shouldn't be even on the shelves because it's past its date. It's past the sell date. So pay attention to that stuff because you do not want to get sick. But we're going to see more issues with chickens and turkeys and eggs and pork and beef, more recall. So make sure that you have food put away for an emergency. A debt jubilee of biblical proportions is coming. Are you ready? This was an article today on The Hedge. There's going to be big winners. There's going to be big losers, ladies and gentlemen. Biden's plan for student loan forgiveness marks the beginning of a modern debt jubilee, or beginning of modern debt jubilees. Pouring roughly $500 billion of gasoline on the inflationary fire that is already burning. Completely reckless, ladies and gentlemen. His student loan jubilee will set a precedent, it says, that will be hard to undo. Many avoided student debt by choosing less expensive career paths. Many people said they're just not going to go to college. Many people had to work 2 jobs in order to pay it down. So now you have people that did all this, and now they're footing the bill for the people who no longer say that they're going to pay the bill. So the people who made the sacrifices, the people who didn't go to college, the people who had to work multiple jobs to pay all this off, now are footing the bill for the people who reneged on the agreement, the people who didn't fulfill their obligations. So everybody else, including the plumbers, the truck drivers, the construction worker, they're all going to be paying for these people. As interest rates continue to rise, the cost of servicing this record debt is becoming unbearable for many. As Americans hit their breaking points, debt forgiveness demands will only grow louder. So what example does this give people that, well, if you forgive people with their college debt, how about you forgive me of my mortgage debt, my auto debt, my credit card debt? You forgave them. Why don't you forgive me? This is where it's all going to go. So the government is really setting some bad examples and pushing themselves into a corner where people are going to start demanding that they get their debts paid off. The U.S. government is now trapped. It is game over. The coming debt jubilees could wipe out trillions in liabilities while unleashing unimaginable inflation. The more money they print, they begin to pay off other people's debts like they're doing with college tuition debt. This is going to be extremely inflationary. Where does the money come from? They have to borrow it. They have to print it. They have to tax it. Currency, bonds, paper assets will be the biggest losers. Own scarce and valuable assets that are not simultaneously someone else's liability. This would be gold. This would be silver. And this is according to the article. People have no idea how bad this could get. I think I have an idea, and I think many of you have an idea, but most people have no idea because they're out Christmas shopping, they're celebrating, God bless them. They're running up the credit cards, they're getting deeper into debt, and then they'll beg the government to pay it all off for them. This could get really, really bad. And there's a price to pay for this. It's called inflation. It's called inflation. And be extremely careful here, ladies and gentlemen. Owning some gold and silver, not financial advice, I think is extremely important. If you need help with that, go to my link down below, SD Bullion. There's never been a time, in my personal opinion, that has been more important to own hard tangible assets like gold and silver as it is right now. We are at a point in our history where I think we're going to see some big events take place. We're going to see big inflation. We're going to see big problems with the US dollar, big problems with debt, big problems with credit. So make sure you're protecting yourself. Stressed Amazon delivery driver dumps 80 packages in wooded area, police say. This happened in Massachusetts. This on Fox Business today. People are stressed out, ladies and gentlemen. Just go to the grocery store. Just go to a Costco. Look at people. They will literally run you over in the parking lot. They will run you down in the store. Nobody says, excuse me. Nobody gets out of the way. There's a lot of people, no doubt, on pharmaceuticals that, are not functioning properly at the moment. That was another point I wanted to bring up yesterday on the movie Homestead, that it did bring up something that made a really, really good point. And one of the people in the movie, the husband to this woman who was at the compound, started acting really, really bizarre. And she said, well, my husband's out of his meds. He doesn't have his meds. And so he was acting all crazy, right? It's another problem we're going to run into down the road as things break apart and people cannot get their meds. You're going to be dealing with some very, very unbalanced people. And just going to a Costco, going to the grocery store, go anywhere, and you're already seeing it. You're seeing people that are very unbalanced. I think that they're maybe not on their meds. Imagine what this all looks like if we have a interaction with China, a negative interaction, a war, things heat up between America and China and they start cutting pharmaceuticals off. If people are acting this bizarre right now, if they're this stressed out right now, what happens if they don't get those pharmaceuticals? Because the average American is extremely stressed, and they should be, because they know that they're so loaded with debt and they're continuing to spend, they're continuing to take on credit cards, and they're going to get more stressed out. So be aware of that. And you know, people are very short fused, they're very high tempered. Be careful out there when you're driving around. You know, I'm hearing of people getting into fist fights over parking spots and throwing bottles at people's cars, taking a parking spot. It's not worth it. Drive away, avoid confrontation at all costs. But you don't know who you're dealing with. You don't know if somebody just lost their job, they're getting a divorce, they're losing their house, they're being evicted. You don't know what's going on with somebody's life. And people, when they lose everything, they just lose it. And people are losing it. I will finish with this last article on the hedge. These are the most desired Christmas gifts in the United States this year. Number one, take a guess. Take a guess. What's the number one Christmas gift? You guessed right. It's cash. Cash is still king. That was the number one gift for men and women. Number one. Number two, for men and women, clothing and shoes. Number three, for men and women, vouchers and gift cards. Those were the top three. But cash was king. So let me know what you think about that. I hope everybody gets what they wanted for Christmas. Most of all, I hope you have your health. And even beyond that, I hope you're walking close to God. And I think as we get closer to 2025 and we all have some New Year's resolutions, I hope yours is walking closer to God. Most of all, I hope everybody gets closer to God. We're only here for a short period of time. People are stressed out. People need direction. They need security. Make sure you're saying your prayers. Walk close to God. God will look after you. I'm going to leave it there today. Have an incredible Merry Christmas. God bless every one of you. Thanks for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe. Be careful out there. Talk to all of you very, very soon.